What's up, y'all, man? It's Kenny Cummins here. Happy New Year's to everyone. This gentleman Kenny C right here on TMVcafe.com, bringing you entertainment to your ears. And my next guest is a hip hop artist out of Louisville, Kentucky. He's been in the show in the past. He's put out a lot of music in 2024. I'm digging the Ah Yeah joint. He put out the Don't Play record alongside with Berserk. He's got more music on the way for 2025. Let's just say we both snowed in. He's in Louisville. I'm in Lexington. At least we still got our lights on, so it's not too bad. I'm
Oh
joined
yeah.
with the homie Theory. He's back on the show. What's up, man?
What's going on? What's going on? Glad to be here, man. Thank you.
Glad to have you back on. How you feel? How you surviving with the snow and stuff?
Oh man, the snow's been crazy. We got here at least. I know Lexington apparently got hit pretty hard, but
Yeah,
here in Louisville we got probably about 8, 9 inches, but that's a lot for Louisville, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
um right now we're kind of snowed in. We haven't gone nowhere. We, like you said, thankfully we still have power. But I just been kind of kicking it, being a hermit in the house, and my studio's in the backyard in the shed. I have a separate room built for my studio, so um, it's a little cold in there, so I'm doing it in my kitchen right now. So,
Yeah, I
but yeah, it's
understand,
good.
man.
It's good, man. The little space heater that I have in there, it does, only so much, so.
Yeah,
But yeah, other than that, everything's good.
well, that's good to hear. I think a lot of people assumed that we was gonna have like an ice storm from 2009.
Yeah.
For anyone that lived in Kentucky around that time, know how crazy that storm was.
Yeah, I
Fortunately,
heard about that. The one in
yeah,
2009 was like
yeah,
apparently people were out of power for like 2 weeks. That's the only thing that I was worried about was losing
yeah,
power because, we won't be able to have our heat going and,
yeah,
thankfully we have a gas stove. So,
yeah.
we'd be all right for, making food and cooking a little bit. But I went out and tried to go to Kroger and grab some stuff on Saturday. And when I tell you that the shelves were damn near empty. It was crazy in there.
Yeah,
People
man.
stocking up and getting waters and bread was gone. I had to go to two different stores to get a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. It was crazy.
That's just something crazy.
And we didn't
Um,
even lose power. So it's
yeah,
like,
man. Like we did. It almost reminds me of 2020, man, with the toilet papers and stuff.
yeah,
You
that's
know,
what that
and
reminded me of too.
different circumstances, obviously, but
Yeah.
you know,
Same panic.
yeah, say panic.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the grocery stores appreciate stuff being purchased, but yeah, I mean,
Price gouging was real, man.
price
I I
gouging, bro.
I paid like $5 for that loaf of bread,
Yeah, I mean,
which normally would be like $1.50.
man, for that price, it better be the type of bread that celebrities be eating.
I swear to God.
I swear, it better be some unique flavor that
Yeah,
not your typical loaf bread.
yeah.
It better be something. But
I want it coated in gold.
you want to go in the gold, yeah. Maybe some gold flavor.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Little
the way to
gold
go.
flakes, like they do it for the what Goldschlager,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
liquor. They got little gold flakes in there. They could put it in the bread too if they're gonna make it
yeah,
$5 a loaf.
yeah, something like that. But anyway, you wanted to be back here because you got so much on the horizon for 2025.
Yeah, man.
So what you got cooking, no pun intended, for 2025? What you got on the horizon?
Well, 2024 was actually a little bit of a not as busy year musically for new music. I mean, I put out the Carpe Diem album, which was a sequel to my Carpe Noctem, my first album that I ever put out back in 2019. And I did the sequel to that, Carpe Diem, and that was in April of 2024. And then Berserk and I did Don't Play, and in between those times, I put out like two or three singles. But 2025, I'm gonna hit it hard with a lot of audio visuals. I wanna make some music videos for some of these songs, even older stuff. If it may be old to you, but it's not, necessarily meaning it's old for somebody else. It might be, the first thing that somebody sees of your catalog, and it makes them want to dive in more. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of audio visuals, full length music videos, and I'm gonna, be a lot more present on the social media with Reels and TikToks and things like that, interacting with the fans and with, friends and family who all want to interact with me on there. Um, and a lot of shows coming up, man. Since I signed with Big Homies Records, out of Salt Lake City. So shout out to Big Homies Records and all the artists and to Chico, the owner. But he's got a lot of shows planned for us, man. So we're going to be doing a lot of out of state shows. I know that we're looking into doing New Mexico. We're looking into doing Arizona. We're looking into doing Cali, uh, Salt Lake City, which is, we've performed there a few times before. Um, I know that we're trying to get back in my hometown in Chicago. Uh, it's just a little difficult to find a venue in the city because a lot of places in Chicago apparently don't like doing rap shows or hip hop shows because it can incite, gang violence, and Chicago is already dangerous enough as it is, apparently. So, we're having a little bit of trouble with that city, but we're gonna figure something out, even if it's got to be in the suburbs right around the corner. And then in between all that, man, with other states that we're going to be doing shows in, I definitely am going to be releasing some more singles, and I'm intending on releasing a new project, a full length project, which will be a sequel to my Me Against the World album. Uh, that's I got a lot of really awesome feedback on that project, especially with the way that it ended, with the last song. I got a ton of people hitting me up talking about what happened, what happened. You can't just leave me in the dark like that. What happened? So I'm gonna be continuing that story. That more than likely is not going to be released until the end of 2025, because I want to be making some real good features on there. I want to pick my features very carefully. I want to make sure that it's all, cohesive with the story, and I want to get some bigger names on the project, man. I want to level up a lot more in 2025 just in general. So, um, I'm talking to some bigger artists, currently, working on songs with them. Um, I know I got that song Lost and Loveless with Binks, and Binks is the homie. He's a good friend. Uh, and we're actually working on a couple more that we're going to be putting out. So that's going to be exciting. Uh, I'm going to talk to him about getting on the album too. So a lot of things happening, man. Just going to be all around the country trying to knock out these shows, and keep cooking some music, man. I got some stuff in the vault that I think is going to be really, really dope. So
So yeah, I do remember Me Against the World. I think that was the last time you was on here. When maybe prior to its release, you was
yeah,
talking about it. So
yeah.
definitely,
I know it's been a couple years since I've been on
yeah,
here. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm looking at the track listing for Me Against the World. Got the homie Ryan Watts. Shout out to him.
Yep.
I think I crossed paths with him at the Justina Valentine show in Lexington years ago. So I
Yeah.
definitely remember him.
Yeah.
He good.
He's actually, Ryan Watts is actually doing a lot of his music, as rock music now. He's got
Yeah.
this, new band that he's kind of slowly but surely becoming a member of, but he's putting his own twist on their music, and they just did a video, I think, for one of their songs and released it. I don't know if you had seen it. Um, Yeah, I'll have to send it to you, but it's dope. You know, he's doing his thing too, so I'm glad to see him still working on his craft. So
Yeah, man, just going from the rock to from the rap into rock, and
yeah,
just and now he's got a full length band with him now, so
yeah,
he's
yeah,
definitely onto something with this transition of sorts. Um,
yeah.
Very happy for him,
Oh yeah. Yeah, he
and
seems to be very happy with
yeah,
his transition to rock. He'll still
yeah.
throw some rap in.
Oh yeah,
You know, he'll send me little, you know, snippets of some new stuff he's always working on. He does it for me all the time. And he still gets, you know, in his hip hop moments, but you know, he's for the most part doing his rock thing and I'm all for it, man. I think it's a great sound for him. So,
yeah, yeah. Shout out to Watts, man, doing his thing. Louisville, I've always said, such an incredible scene of indie talent,
oh
so
yeah.
much talent, a lot of venues that puts music out. And Louisville, man, I'm telling y'all, man, I feel like it could be like the next Atlanta, could be the next Houston with all the talent that they have. It's more than just Harlow and ESTG. That's a
Yeah.
lot more talent from that city.
Yeah.
And I think people will tap into the city. So if
Oh
it hasn't
yeah.
already, sure.
Yeah, Bryson Tiller too, man. I
Yeah,
love his
Tiller,
music,
yeah.
man. He's super dope. But you know, I I I try not to think about the indie talent around me as much unless you're like in my immediate circle. Because what I used to do and what I've kind of grown away from is looking at it as a competition
Yeah.
uh, because you know the city of Louisville just has so many different artists, and it's really hard to you know it's like this anywhere technically. You know, your city that you're starting in is the last place that's gonna you know ever show you love. You know, you usually got to blow up out of state or sometimes you know even out of the country before you ever make some noise where you're starting at. So, uh, you know, I've kind of really registered with that once I started doing shows out of state. Things kind of started to pop a little more, um, and it's just been growing ever since. So really, the local talent here is as great as it is. I kind of keep that you know out of my tunnel vision. Because I don't want to look at it as a competition anymore. You know, I'm doing my own thing. You know, I wish nothing but success on everybody else that's doing theirs as well. You know, but I'm in my own lane right now. You know, I got to stay focused on what I'm doing.
You are 100% right as it pertains to support. It's
Yeah.
usually the hometown listeners or fans that be late to the party. Now, there
Oh
are
yeah.
some that will support you in the early stage, but we know how people act when it comes to entertainers. Like they usually wait until you get catch that big break.
Yeah.
And Jack Harlow, for example, he moved to Atlanta. He was getting support in Louisville, but like you said, man, it's about expanding. So
Yeah.
he went to Atlanta. He ended up linking up with Drama, one of the
Yeah.
biggest DJs in the game, and the rest is history. Now all of a sudden, everybody in Louisville, hey, I know you,
Yeah. Putting
you
up
know,
murals of them and everything now.
like
Yeah, it's crazy, you know, and the funny part about it is like, you know, you got a city like Louisville that has just it's flooded with so many people who are trying to be artists, and I've found it at least, you know, this is just my opinion, but I've found it very difficult to really kind of develop a buzz because as an artist you know, some people might look at it selfishly or not, you know, and then some may not. But as an artist, you don't want to go, you know, perform. You don't want to go to a show unless it's, you know, you're going to be on it performing, or unless it's going to pay you, or unless something's in it for you. You know what I mean? So really, kind of getting that support and trying to, you know, pack out a show. in a place where there's so many artists and so many of the people that you interact with are artists, it's kind of hard to get those crowds to really kind of root for you. So um, that's why, it's just a crazy thought to me about needing to blow up out of state first, man. It's a
Yeah.
wild experience, but I do know firsthand traveling out west and doing shows, man, that the culture musically is just so different out west, man. It's like there's so much more in tune with the music. Um, and now after performing there for the first time, I see why people move out west to like Cali and Vegas and all those other places that are out west because when they want to do music and they take it seriously, you move to those places because of the culture and just how much more it's respected and acknowledged than it is somewhere like here.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to ask you about the traveling part. You definitely have been on the road. You've been in the West Coast, getting your name out there,
Yeah.
introducing yourself to a whole different audience,
Oh
obviously.
yeah.
Yeah, you've already explained it in detail, but as far as just interacting with people for the first time, different region of sorts, what's that experience like? You originally from Chicago, but you are in Louisville,
Mhm.
make your way out west as an independent artist, and you getting the love that you're receiving, man. What's how would you describe the love that you get in the West?
I mean, it's surreal, man. Uh, the first time I performed out west was in Salt Lake City, and I was opening up for DJ Quick, and he's an icon. He's produced for so many of the most legendary artists, and I mean, he's a legendary artist himself. I always liked his music. I remember growing up listening to him, so it was a very surreal experience for me. Uh, but when I got to meet him, and he actually came back to Chico's house, the owner of Big Homies Records. We picked him up from the airport, and I'm in the car with DJ Quick and Rodney O, and DJ Quick brought his son, and I'm in the back seat, and I'm like, I'm riding with a legend right now. Like this is so crazy to me. And like the later that day when we had the show, like I just saw how packed out it was, man. There was like this little venue. It wasn't a very big venue, but it was nut to butt in there, dude. Like you couldn't move without bumping shoulders with somebody. And I was nervous because it was the biggest crowd that I had ever performed in front of at that point in time. So I was super nervous. And I remember, talking to some people and they were like, just go out there and do your thing, man. And I was like, all right. So I was kind of nervous because I am from Louisville, living in Louisville right now. I'm from Chicago, like you said, living in Louisville, and now I'm out west in a place I've never been to, where probably nobody's heard of me. And I was a little nervous about how they were gonna uh, accept the music and how they were gonna, digest it and if I was going to get a good reaction. And I did. It was so crazy. Like so many people came up to me after I was done performing and they were like, dude, you killed it. Like, let me get your Instagram, let me get your email. And they actually follow you right there on the spot and they interact with your stuff. So it's like here, it's just so much different, out west it like I said, I feel like they just have so much more of an appreciation for what you do as an artist and for the culture uh than they do in a place like this. And it was just a crazy surreal experience, man. I got addicted to it. I love doing shows out west.
Yeah, that's encouraging to hear. That's saying that you're on to something.
Yeah.
That you know what you're doing. People, like what you present.
Yeah.
And staying true to yourself. Obviously California, Arizona, the vibes hits different. I've
Oh
always
yeah.
curious about Salt Lake City and just the state of Utah in general. Like, man, I wonder how do they vibe with hip hop. I
There's
don't.
there's a good little uh crowd for it. Not as many artists as obviously in somewhere like Vegas or Phoenix or LA or San Diego or whatever, Oceanside. But like, when I did my show in Vegas with Binks, we opened up for Binks, and that's how him and well, I mean, him and I had kind of talked before that for the Lost and Loveless feature. We had chopped it up. Um, but I actually had asked him if he would be down to perform, if we were to, offer to pay him for a performance and do it in Vegas, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm down." And we put it together, thanks to Big Homies Records, and they put the show together, and performing in Vegas was probably the most fun. It was. I had never been to Vegas. I'd been, in their airport before on a connecting flight, but I had never actually been to Vegas. And like once I left the airport, like it's popping 24/7 in this place. Like it was like 11:30 at night and we're on Fremont Street just walking, and there's like three different concerts going on three different stages. There's tens of thousands of people just walking around, and it's just lit all the time. So like when we did the show there, that was a lot of fun, man. And they received the performance that I gave very, very well. So much so that the one of the owners of the venue that we performed at was actually like, I need you to come back. Like he gave me a free shirt and everything. He was just like, you were dope. You were my favorite of the night. And I was like, oh, thank you, man. That was super cool. So, no matter where I go, I'm always gonna be myself. I'm always gonna do my thing. I love getting on stage, but it's just a different energy, man. So, you know, for somebody like Desi Hollow, who we opened up for in Salt Lake, he's from Oceanside, California, and he's developing a real big buzz with his name right now. He's one of the biggest artists in the coming up out of the West right now, and we got him in our back pocket for doing shows. He's wanting to ride with us anywhere we go. So he's all for Big Homies Records, and just having somebody like that uh with that kind of pull on the West, we can actually learn a lot and we can gain a lot from his presence. So the West is just a way different energy, man. It's so much more fun. I feel like it's so much more live, and people are just more open to your brand and your music.
Yeah, um, it's a good time, man. That's dope. Indie artists like yourself getting the connections and you making the most of these opportunities, and that's good to hear, man. And I've always think highly of you as an artist for years now,
Thank you.
and just to see the grind, see the things are looking up for you, seeing me getting these opportunities of saying something.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you, man.
so so that's good to hear, man. Shout out to the West Coast.
Yeah.
It was good to see them have the year that they had in 2024 with
Yes, sir.
everything that transpired for and yeah,
Yeah.
we know what happened.
We don't got to get into it.
Yeah, right. Just
Yeah.
I will say, as far as West Coast, the Quick, he deserves his flowers
Oh
for
yeah.
all he's done
Yeah,
for the game.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And of course, Dre, Snoop from the Olympics, knowing that
Yeah.
the Olympics is coming to their neck of the woods in 2026, I
I
believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's coming to LA. So that seeing how Snoop was just vibing for the whole two,
Yeah.
I think I watched more Snoop highlights of him being there than the actual Olympics itself. I may have watched some basketball, women's and men, and some other
Yeah.
sports. And I even watched the breakdancing. I know people got in the fields towards it and the memes and all that.
I
Like
mean, it is what it is, man.
I appreciate the Olympic Committee trying, but that comes from hip hop. That's
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
hip hop thing, and I don't think they handled it the way that they thought they did.
yeah, for sure.
If you ain't
It
got
didn't go
no,
as good as they
yeah,
probably anticipated. Yeah,
yeah, it's just like if you ain't got nobody with a back with a background of experience of that, or anyone from the hip hop culture from that area in London of all
yeah,
places, then
right.
yeah, it's probably best that it was just one and done.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
so yes, but I enjoyed the missionary for Snoop and Dre. I
Yes.
enjoyed
Every track on
um
there was
yeah,
incredible. My
yeah,
favorite one is actually my 9-year-old daughter's favorite too. It's gorgeous.
yeah,
Uh
okay. But he Akil, yeah, yeah, yeah,
that beat is
yeah,
incredible, man. I love that song. That one there was out I think it's called Out the Blue.
yeah. I like that one.
That one's dope. I love the drums that Dre used, man. I mean,
Yeah,
anything that Dre does, he's an absolute genius, man.
yeah,
And
man.
I've always been such a huge fan of Dr. Dre, and I've never really thought that he's ever made anything that I didn't like musically, as far as a
Yeah,
producer.
yeah,
I've always looked up to him as far as production is concerned.
yeah.
He's definitely one of the greatest to ever touch, and I don't think there's ever going to be anybody like him ever
He
again.
he's
So
literally the Quincy Jones of West Coast. I think that's probably the
yeah,
only comparison to somebody else musically.
I could see
Like
that.
and with Dre, he doesn't like do music year after year after year. Like he when he
He
does
makes him
something,
wait.
he makes him right, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
from Chronic to 2001 to Compton,
mm-hmm.
and he's a career builder.
Oh yeah,
Literally, for the last 3 decades, some of the biggest names of hip hop has come
yeah,
from him.
yeah,
So I
absolutely.
so wish I dig the Guns and Smoke joint having
Yeah,
Snoop, Dre, M,
and
and
M,
50.
and yeah,
Yeah,
that was a crazy lineup. I That's to me that's almost like the dream team of
yeah,
like my childhood, man. Being a 90s baby. uh
yeah,
I was born in 88. I'm 36, so like a lot of these guys that when they when their pop off happened, and
yeah,
they started really making noise, I was just a little baby at that
yeah,
point. So growing up and listening to these guys, and I absolutely love that they are still so in love with the culture and of the art, or with the art, that they're still doing it. It just feels good to see them still doing their thing. Because Dre and Snoop dropping the Missionary album, that was
yeah,
nostalgic. I like how they had kind of like a new school sound, but kept it with the
yeah,
old school drums and the old school beats, and the bass lines, and it was just a great project all around. And 50 and Eminem being on that
yeah,
song with them, that was, like I said, is the dream team of my childhood, man.
yeah.
Everyone I grew up listening to.
Yeah, man, it's kind of surprising that they didn't do this a long time ago, given they literally under Aftermath, or with the exception of Snoop, he was in numerous labels,
Yeah.
but they still kept in touch with each other. So I'm
Yeah.
glad they was able to pull it off. Especially if you're gonna do this super collaboration, then yeah,
Yeah.
it will work perfectly for Dre and Snoop. So I
Definitely.
definitely dig it. Hey man, thank you so much for being on the show.
Of
Great to
course.
have you here. Y'all be on the lookout for Theory's visuals, new music. He's performing in the West Coast. He's gonna be performing in other areas. You have to tap in. That's Th30ry. That's Theory with 30 and not the other letters.
Yeah.
Just look him up on the social media sites, and he'll and follow him, man. He's coming. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
you have a good night, man. You enjoy the rest of your weekend, your
Yeah.
week, I should say.
Yeah,
Um,
it's got the kids home from school till Thursday. Apparently they ain't going to school tomorrow or Wednesday, so
oh my goodness.
got some
So
snow days. So I'm
yeah.
I'm 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 kicking it. So, but I'll be making some new stuff. So I got some ideas and I'm gonna start this week for getting some of them and start planning out my releases for the singles to roll out for 2025. So
All right, man. Sounds good. You enjoy the rest of your week, man. Be
yeah,
safe,
thank
man.
you so much, man. You as well. Hey, by the way, I will be in Lexington on the 11th. Granted that the snow doesn't ruin it, but I'm good. I'm supposed to be in Lexington on the 11th performing um for my buddy I Hate Corey is his artist name. He's releasing his album on the 11th, and
Okay.
so Saturday his album drops, and I feature on the album, and he wants all the artists that he had featuring. He wants to put them uh,
Yeah.
on the show and do the whole album. And then I'm also going to be performing a few songs of my own for solo Th30ry tracks. So if you're in town, I'll send you the details. But if you're around and you're free, love
Yeah.
to be able to meet you in person, this time and be able to kick it with you and see you.
All right, man. Thanks for the information. I'll
Yeah.
definitely keep that in mind. You have a good night, man. Thanks
Yeah,
again.
man. Thanks for having me, man. Have a good one.
All right, peace. Peace.